Question 4c, Part 1. Sketch the curve y equals 3 sine 2x for x greater than or equal to negative pi over 2 and less than or equal to pi over 2. The graph of the equation y equals 3 sine 2x is a sine curve with amplitude 3 and period 2 pi over 2, which equals pi radians. In other words, the graph of y equals sine x has been vertically dilated by a factor of 3 and horizontally dilated by a factor of half. Now, some key points that the graph of y equals 3 sine 2x will pass through can be found by substituting some strategic values of x into the equation to find the corresponding values of y. Now, when x is equal to 0, 3 sine 2 times 0 is equal to 0, so the graph will pass through the origin. When x is equal to pi over 4, 3 sine 2 times pi over 4 is equal to 3, so the curve will pass through the point pi over 4, 3, and this corresponds to the peak or the maximum value of the sine curve. When x is equal to pi over 2, 3 sine 2 times pi over 2 equals 0, so the curve will have an x-intercept of pi over 2. When x is equal to negative pi over 4, 3 sine 2 times negative pi over 4 is equal to negative 3. So the curve will pass through the point negative pi over 4, negative 3, and this corresponds to the minimum value of the sine curve. And when x is equal to negative pi over 2, 3 sine 2 times negative pi over 2 is equal to 0. So the curve will have an x-intercept of negative pi over 2. So marking these key points, we can draw a smooth curve through those points, so we end up with a graph that looks something like this. Part 2. On your diagram for Part 1, sketch the line y equals 1/4 x and shade the region represented by the integral from x equals 0 to x equals pi over 4 of 3 sine 2x minus 1/4 x dx. The graph of the equation y equals 1/4 x is a straight line that will pass through the origin. We need to find another point in order to be able to locate the line. So I'm going to choose a point where x equals pi over 2 and find the corresponding y value. So when x equals pi over 2, y is equal to 1/4 times pi over 2, which is approximately 0.4. So the line y equals 1/4 x will pass through the point pi over 2, 0.4. So I have 2 points. And then using a ruler, joining those 2 points with a line and extending beyond those 2 points, we end up with the graph of y equals 1/4 x. Next, shade in the region indicated by the integral 3 sine 2x minus 1/4 x from x equals 0 to x equals pi over 4. So I've drawn a vertical line where x equals pi over 4. And the shaded region is the difference between the sine curve, 3 sine 2x, and the line 1/4 x, and this is the shaded region that is indicated by the integral. Part 3. Find the exact value of the integral in Part 2. Integrating 3 sine 2x minus 1/4 x with respect to x, we get negative 3 over 2 times cos 2x minus 1 over 8 times x squared from x equals 0 to x equals pi over 4. Applying the limits of integration, that equals negative 3 over 2 times cos of 2 times pi over 4 minus 1 over 8 times pi over 4 in brackets squared minus negative 3 over 2 times cos of 2 times 0 minus 1 over 8 times 0 squared. And simplifying this expression, that equals negative pi squared over 128 plus 3 over 2, or 3 over 2 minus pi squared over 128.